Hi guys, NSS here. Just following on from where we left off last time in regards to some of these fantastic orbs that we've been coming across while training, and I'd like to mention firstly that all these photos are untouched with Photoshop or anything of the sort, apart from the fact in these few photos there's a couple of identifying features which I've removed just due to the fact that I didn't get the chance to ask my mate whether he minded or not. So out of respect for him, I have removed some identifying marks. Apart from that, they are as is. Now we took some photos here just trying to see whether or not the orbs, without us being in the room, without the dust flying around after kicking and all the rest, would be still visible. And there's actually a bright one showing just here. Nice bit of colour involved. You can see it has quite a strong outline to it, strong structure and shape. Again, another bright orb just up the left here. Not as bright as some of the others, but still stands out enough to be quite visible. In this picture we've got a very small one just on Brandon's leg here. Once again, still quite a lot of structure to it, nice outline, still fairly visible. There are one or two other ones in this photo, but they're so faint it's very hard to see them, and probably not worth pointing out. Now, a bit of action in this photo. They're starting to get a bit more active. Got quite a lot floating around. Nice large one here behind Brandon's head, another one just above him. A few smaller ones just up the top. There's one just up here, large but hard to see. In the zoom it almost fades out, but it is there. There's a couple over here on Gary's leg. Small one, slightly large one just up the top here. Another in the background, blends in quite well. And a few obvious ones in this. Some of the photos come out with some fantastic pictures. Like this orb here is quite bright, again very highlighted, especially with the black background. This makes it stand out quite nicely. You can just see a bit of structure coming through, quite nice. Some of them actually quite pretty in their structure. Subtle one, blends in with the background. There's another one up the top here as well. Since I'm doing a quick flyby of these orbs through the photos, there are some which I've missed already. Hard to keep up with all of them. We've spent hours scouring all these pictures, working out what's what and what's not. Some quite obvious, some less so. But in the end, as long as there's a few quite obvious ones that I can show you, that's I guess that's the point of the exercise. This turns out to be quite an interesting picture. Nice bright one on Gary's eyeball, almost assuming the same position as where his eyes would be. You'd almost be mistaken that they're half a set of glasses, but yeah, that's quite strong, that one. Another small one just on Brandon here, quite faint. Notice the positioning of the way the arm comes through and where the orb is. We found some strange meridian lineups. The connection, strange. All I can say is it almost seems like they're helping with the projection of the thought as to where, for example, the punch would be going, or supporting perhaps certain parts of the body, but we'll see those in later photos. Another very bright, it's rare, It's not as often that we see them quite as strong as this. You can just make the outline of, I don't know what it is inside, but there's some structure. The structure always amazes me, and it seems to change from one orb to the next. Quite a busy picture. There's more up the top here, another very faint one. Orbs in this photo aren't as bright as some of the others, however there's quite a few interesting ones nonetheless. One on the base of the foot here, sitting on the heel. Once again, don't know if that's got anything to do with the support for the legs or something. Another one up the top left here. Small one near the roof. We found lots near the roof. And one hiding in the corner here. Very bright in colour. And the colours, once again, the colour as much as the structure seems to have an importance. I really hope I can get that interview done so we can explain what the colours signify. Another one down the background here. The black backing I absolutely love. I wish I could just paint all the walls black so we could see and highlight where these orbs are. It makes life a lot easier in trying to detect them. Again, we see another quite a strong bright orb here, almost appearing to be supporting Brandon's leg, holding it up. Once again, we found a little bit of evidence to support the fact that they're interacting with us in the way of energy or physical support of some form. Hard to explain, but they were definitely in a way interacting with us. But this here, once again, quite bright, quite strong. Must be a lot of energy to produce that orb. A few lighter ones around the room. There's one up the top here, quite faint. Another busy photo, this one. Quite a few orbs. One on Gary's leg, quite small. A few up the top here. Again, another outline, quite nice, solid outline. A couple in the top near the roof. Okay, some of the less obvious ones we have down through here. Very faint one through the background. Another couple up in the roof. That's quite a faint one there. There's another one just through here, barely visible. And one on the base leg, almost like it's offering support on Brandon. A couple of strong ones here. Nice bright white, obvious in structure, and another one just off to the side here. Again, good highlight on that. Again, these photos are taken roughly 3 seconds apart. It appears that the small orb just up the top here, again, quite a strong outline on that. It appears that it's actually moved across from where it was over here, and moved across this way over that 3 second period. Now, having a look at the photo just previously, now you can see it here, and it sort of moved across from that line. And again, so we can see the motion of these things as they move around the room. Interesting when we track them. Now, there are a few others here. Another one in the background. Another one through the side here. Small one. Sometimes I've found the small ones are actually very bright, only they hide quite well in the background. Again, there seems to be a bit of support here on my base leg, something that we noticed that turned out to be quite a decent kick. Well, so it felt anyway. That's how we were judging the motion. Quite a bright, I'm guessing a spirit orb through the back here. very strong, bright white light overshadowing everything, and another one just off to the left of that. These bright ones are by far, I think, very interesting. Those and the ones with lots of structure in it intrigue me greatly. These units which seem to be on our bodies or around the lineage of where we're actually working are another wonder. By all means, if anyone has any information in regards to the connection between how they interact with us, energetically or physical attributes, or if anyone's had any communication with these things, I'd be more than wanting to hear your story. You feel free to email me or just pop a comment down below the video. It'd be very appreciated. I know we've experienced what we've researched, but it'd be nice to hear someone else's stories. We originally began taking these photos in order to determine where our problems were or how to fix some of our moves that weren't exactly going correctly, and nevertheless we ended up with much more than we bargained for. And the fun part about going through some of the old photos while we're training is the fact that we get to see ourselves pull some awesome faces, quite often in a lot of agony or just mucking around while we're training, as we like to have a little bit of fun while we're kicking the buggers out of each other. But it's very handy to have that bit of motivation and enthusiasm while we're hunting through and scouring. It can be a bit of an eye strain sometimes. Now there's a few bright orbs in this picture. Another bright one through the side here. Up the top. Very faint one through there. Small one just underneath Gary. Another small one just next to him. And probably the most significant to me was the fact that there was the support base for my right shoulder. To give you a bit of insight, I have a sore shoulder, probably from taking too many kicks, but in the end that I feel was actually offering me a little extra support base, strengthening and positioning for the kick. Now, while we actually talk about the sore spots as we get injured during the kicks, I've actually swapped sides here, so you can see that the sore shoulder part was actually on this side, and that's where the previous orb was. I've moved over because it was just too sore to stay on that side. But they, as I said, they do seem to interact with those zones. Quick look at 3 more orbs through this picture. Another small one here. Another one on this extremely heavy bag in the background. There's just a very faint one up the top here. Due to timing restrictions, there's a number of photos and a number of orbs which I would like to have gone through and shown you. However, if I did that, this would be a forever video, and unfortunately you probably don't want to watch this forever, and you probably don't have the time, and YouTube won't allow it. So 2 large orbs just above Gary's head. 607 Strange, as you might know him. And another busy photo, quite a few. That's quite a bright strong one just to the side there. Another one there, quite faint. 2 more just off to the side. A few more on the roof. That one's a little bit fainter there.